July 17th, 1886. Dear Mrs. Winter, your letter, and one, a few lines only, from Will, followed me about from Cohasset to Greenwich, thence to Long Branch, and finally caught me in New York. The only leisure day I had in the latter place was passed on a lounge. I had a severe attack of lumbago, which still troubles me, and consequently I was prevented from going to Fort Hill as I intended, or writing you both as I should have done. I reached home late last night, and this morning I shall devote to my many correspondence, beginning with you. I hardly know what to say, my friend, for I am comfortless and so selfish that the sorrows of others seem slight to mine. Death, especially when it claims the young, has always seemed to me God's chiefest blessing to man, and I find it very difficult to appreciate the grief of those whose dear ones are gone from this hard, workaday world to the holiday happiness which the sinless must enjoy. Unable, therefore, to offer comfort, I have remained silent, hoping to see Will, either in town or at your home, for having now no home of my own, I could not, as I wished, receive you here or at Newport, where, in either place, I believe the gloom which oppresses you both would be dispelled. Any change would better your condition. You both are morbid and confine yourselves too much among sorrowful associations. In a recent letter from Will, he was filled with fearful apprehensions for you, and wished you might take a sea voyage. I hoped my reply would have encouraged him, and his answer to my letter led me to infer that you would go abroad for a health trip. Indeed, his letter, full of solicitude for you, bade me hope that the dead weight upon your hearts was somewhat lightened, and that the silver lining of your cloud was visible. Imagine my surprise and disappointment, then, when your letter came to revive my sorrow for my poor friend's distress. Imagine my own distress, and being unable to assist him. Circumstances which are needless to describe have cramped me considerably of late, and not until I get into the flood tide of business next season can I feel free to help a friend. I am not crippled, but very much embarrassed financially owing to bad investments, increased expenses since my daughter's marriage to a spendthrift who does nothing for a livelihood but lives on his father-in-law, and the care of 3 families of poor relations. I cannot, therefore, do as you suggest, and God knows as I would like to do. For 5 years I have lived on my principal, and, large as my receipts have been, I find, at the end of the year, that I have just enough to carry me safely over the gap. This, of course, is owing to bad management and a weakness which prevents me from saying no to a host of friends and relatives for whom I have sympathy. It grieves me more than I can tell to say that ugly word now to your request. I have not even words to offer, for my experience of woe, terrible as it has been, has but strengthened my faith, while in Will's case misfortune masters him. With other children about you, the temporary absence of one should intensify your love for them, as did the death of my wife develop my love for her baby, for whom I did not care a doit until her mother died. The greatest ill that afflicts us is not the worst, so long as man can say, "This is the worst." Others suffer more poignant pangs than we do, and in simple charity to them, let us bear our cross with patience, even cheerfully. You both know, deep down in your hearts, that if I could give the relief you wisely suggest, I would not hesitate a moment. But, as fate wills it, I am handicapped at present when most I need my freedom. My place at Newport, no longer my home, is filled with a foreign horde, and this house is in disorder. I have barely a bed in it. Otherwise, I would have you there or here for the change you both require so much. And yet it seems to me that, were I in your place, I should be happier where the joyous spirit of my loved one was ever present, as it must be, and in the prattle of my other children, hear his assurance of future happiness, and see in their smiles his smiles. All this would comfort rather than distress me. I know, my friend, that mere words, and such weak words as mine, can't heal such wounds as yours. Therefore I will not pester you with any more, assured that you fully appreciate my feelings. If you do not comprehend the reason of my failure to respond to your request, would to God that I could take the boy and set him just where he belongs, at the head of some sound literary concern. God bless him. God bless you both, all. Sincerely your friend, Edwin Booth. The material that follows was written below the signature in another hand. Memo. My poor mother, without my father's knowledge, applied to Booth for a loan of $1,500, which he was unable or unwilling to make, which at any rate he did not make. This is his reply to that request. Jefferson Winter. Loss referred to herein is death of my brother, Arthur.